They were using more than a 4-inch, a 4-track machine at Sigma, weren't they? At the beginning?
Yeah, I think they were up to 8-track. Well, Cameo had an 8-track,
Uh,
went up to 8-track.
oh,
I think it was the MR70.
mm,
Terrible machine. It was awful. I think they only made 3 of them,
oh,
and it was ridiculously expensive. It was billed as the engineer's dream machine. The
hmm,
problem is it was way ahead of its time, and it was trying to do an analog, what you really needed digital logic for,
mm,
and that's what was wrong with it.
mm,
But Joe went with dual deck, 4 and 8, with 12 electronics,
hmm.
and I really forget. I really forget. There are other people that know more about the actual specifics there.
So it was
I,
it was high pressure, right as soon as you started at Sigma.
oh yeah, yeah, but I just ate that kind of pressure up because I had control over it. You
Ah,
know,
okay.
the way the session went was on me.
Hmm.
I determined how the session went.
Sure.
There was always that pressure. You got a client out there, and you got to please him. You got to make him happy,
Yes.
and he's got to walk away happy.
Hmm.
And if he doesn't, maybe you're going to cost the studio $1 million next year,
Uh,
and you're not worth $1 million.
yeah.
You know.
And this was all the
But
A room upstairs. That's the only room that
yeah,
was
there was
working.
just the one room, and Joe wanted to expand to downstairs,
Hmm.
but there was that business. I don't know exactly what they did, but they just weren't moving, and Joe really wanted that space.
Mm.
So eventually they they left.
Yeah. So they got out of there, and then what? They started construction on the downstairs.
I don't remember any of that. I don't know what happened in the meantime or how long it took. Again, I was kind of oblivious to everything.
So you were
Uh,
just upstairs doing your work while whatever was going on in the rest of the building.
yeah, but I don't really think there was that much going on in the rest of the building.
Oh,
It might have been. I just can't bring my mind to focus on that area.
well, they told me that.
Um,
I think Joe told me that the upstairs when they would mix, they had an air conditioner in the wall, so they would
yeah,
just turn off the air conditioner when they were mixing, and then they turn it back on when they weren't mixing. So I have a picture of the A room. It had that.
yeah,
So it wasn't as fancy as you know the
yeah.
the the rest of you.
Well, it was basically Tony's place with a coat of paint on it. And I remember the air conditioner, but we monitored so loud, just drowned out the air conditioner. I mean,
Oh, oh,
yeah, we would monitor at 100, 110 dB SPL.
oh, wow. Oh,
I
wow.
mean, I figured I'd be deaf by 30,
Uh, uh-huh.
because I was doing that 14 hours a day.
Yeah, yeah.
Even starting at Cameo, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, what? And the thing that scared the life out of me was, what am I going to do after I'm 30? Because basically, most of us were over the hill,
Mm,
by 30.
mm-hmm.
From my generation, I'm about 10 years ahead of, most of the other guys there.
Mm-hmm.
Peter's a little older. He's a little closer to me,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them were 10 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured, in fact, one of my assistants was Carl Perullo.
Oh,
And yeah,
yeah.
and
So he opened up Alpha, right? Alpha Recording
no,
Studios?
no, no, no. You're thinking of Pete Perullo.
Oh, people. Okay.
Yeah. Carl Perullo was our assistant, our first. Well, let me put it this way. Dave Hughes was Joe's first employee,
Mm-hmm.
and I was his second. Everybody thinks I was the first one,
Mm-hmm.
but I was actually the second employee.
Uh-huh.
The third employee was Carl Perullo.
Okay.
and we hired him as an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me and Joe up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave Hughes he'd do all the building, all the construction and things like that. He'd build the new consoles and do any wiring that needed to be done. That was his job.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe talked to me about hiring an assistant, and it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And after he was working for a month, and I worked with Carl for a while, and Joe sat me down and said, "Well, what do you think about this guy?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "He's good.
Mm-hmm.
He is damn good."
Mm-hmm.
And Joe said, "He's scary good." And he was, I mean, it was a shame to call him an assistant. He could do my job as good as I could,
Mm-hmm.
almost from the get-go. And he was a roadie. That's where we hired him from.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
Yeah.